And on that high street story, let's speak now to Kate Hardcastle, a retail analyst. Kate, I don't know if I even dare ask you this, but actually, why not? For context, how serious a problem are we dealing with? What are the figures? I mean, anyone who's travelled down their local high street recently will see that it's a pretty dismal sight in many places. Lots of empty shops, empty cafes, to let signs that have been up forever. Give me a broader picture.
So let's start with a really important question. Do we even need a high street? And I think we need a purposeful place for people to be. We need to socialise. We know that, particularly with the experience we had in the pandemic, that as humans, we congregate, we need to be together. Does that look like the high streets that you and I remember of our childhood? No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't, because we've had the huge change in the way that we shop. The way that we shop dictates the amount of store presence on the places that we live. And therefore, that's why about a third of high streets now are made up of stores. The rest of it are made up from service businesses and actually residential and other properties too. So for 10 years plus, I have been talking about what the future of our very human places to be should look like. They're very important. They deserve the investment. But when you look at the infrastructure around them, you look at the challenges that they face, and indeed the fact that the title of the High Streets Minister has been given to, I believe now, 10 people over about a 10 or 12-year period, it's hard to see how anyone's got their feet under the table for enough time to be able to make the changes relevant. And that's in a very shape-shifting environment, bringing in things like technology as well that needs to be considered.
So, Kate, what are the biggest issues, first of all?
Well, in the news today from Keir Starmer's announcement in terms of the changes he'd like to see, he brings up things like business rates, which have always been a plague on High Street, because the businesses there largely we're going to see independent businesses there, because national chains have certainly seen that their plans have been to take more presence online and less presence in store, less we call it a foothold space on the high street. So the stores are probably going to be smaller but more effective. So those small businesses need cash flow. They need to be able to survive. Business rates need to be relevant. We need to make sure that properties can be accessed where landlords are constantly looking for the highest bidder. We need to make sure that properties on high streets can effectively be used and those properties be filled. So the 5-point plan he has got is very relevant, but it deals with the ancient historic problems we've been talking about for 10 years. What it doesn't seem to address or start to address is the way we as consumers shop. And the key to this, the absolute key to this, is we shop emotionally. And that means that we are drawn to things very differently. Sometimes it's price. It's almost this hierarchy, if you like, of needs, where it will constantly evolve and change in terms of our focus. We've seen a lot of value operators do well because we've been price sensitive of late in the cost of living crisis. But we've also seen luxury really excel. And what's doing well are things like experiential shops. But again, you will have a cry from your listeners today talking about things like customer service.
Yeah, but I've got to stop you there. What's an experiential shop?
It could be anything from the fact you go into a value brand like Primark and you will see departments dedicated to Disney or Harry Potter, or they'll have health and beauty services on the store, through to the extremity, if you're in London, of Selfridges, who've got a Elton John pop-up currently, where you can almost see a curated exhibition of the Sir Elton's works and images, etc. It can go much further than that. We've got the Outnet in London at the moment, which is this experience of video walls and ceilings of light, immersive theatre.
But is that But Kate, is that what you're going to want to do when you're wandering down the high street? Isn't it more about having quality shops that don't sell stuff you can buy anywhere online, and actually making sure that they don't cost as much as they do online, because that mitigates any reason for anyone shopping on their high street?
I don't think the genie will go back in the bottle regards online, and there's not going to be a day that a product exists that doesn't have an opportunity to buy online. The opportunity for high street stores is to use the service and accelerate the human touch point to be able to advise and support on items there where you don't have that human face online. It's got to be the pendulum swing against how we buy online. But I think different high streets need different things. My
Yeah.
local
Let
high
me.
street, of course, I don't want to see experiential technology displays. I want stores to be there to serve my local needs.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what the majority of people want. That's why I stopped it to just question it, because there's all these terms that get thrown in, aren't there, that we don't really use in normal life. I mean, I don't talk about going to an experiential experience when I head off to Bruton High Street or whatever. Just tell me finally, Kate, what you make of Labour's action plan. There seems to be some good sense in there. Is it going to revolutionise a situation that clearly is, urgent?
It is urgent. It does need to be sorted out. It deals with a lot of the historic challenges, a lot of the fundamentals, but we do need to look into what the future wants. And just to go back on the last point, I have literally been serving the big retail consortium conferences around the world for the last 4 months. I can assure you that technology is a bigger part of it as anything. And just because maybe a certain generation doesn't want it, doesn't mean that the infrastructure isn't there for future generations to come. And that's what we need, something that can stand the test of time.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much indeed, Kate Hardcastle. Very good to talk to you.